Today I am going to discuss with you all about the translocation. This is your last part of your structural changes in chromosome, and let's get started now. So about the translocation, if you know that normally translocation simply means transfer of a part of a chromosome or set of genes to a non-homologous chromosome is called translocation. So here we can see two non-homologous chromosome has been shown, one this, and they are exchanging the parts. You can see the break point and this break point, and sorry, the break point is located right here, this one, and they are exchanging the parts. This part goes to here and this part goes to this region. So normally transfer of a part of chromosome or set of genes to a non-homologous chromosome is called translocation. Okay, here in translocation there is no such addition or loss of genes, right? Only rearrangement of the genes occur. The location of the gene has been placed to a different locus, to a different site. Now depending on which part or which parts of a non-homologous chromosome become detached and reunited, translocation are of four different types. So depending on which part of your non-homologous chromosome or which parts of your non-homologous chromosome become detached, means removed, and reunited, translocation can be of four types, as has been mentioned, uh, as you can say simple translocation. Okay, simple translocation, then reciprocal shift translocation, your reciprocal translocation. Okay, there is also two types of reciprocal translocation. One is called homozygous reciprocal translocation and heterozygous reciprocal translocation, and multiple translocation. So let us see the first part, which is your simple translocation. So in simple translocation, as you see in the figure, very simply has been represented, the chromosomes has been represented very simply, just like a line. So this represents your centromere, this one, all these are centromere. Okay, and these are the arms of the chromosome that has been shown with variety of letters, sequence of letters. Okay, showing the segments. So in simple translocation, where you can see a small segment of a chromosome is being added to the end of a it is being added to the end of a non-homologous chromosome. So you can see here A, B, C, D, E, F. This is a chromosome, and M, N, O, P, Q. This is another chromosome. So you can, this is the, both are non-homologous, they are not similar to each other. Now you can see a small segment here, A, B. This segment of the chromosome is added to the end of other non-homologous chromosome. So you see in this figure, the AB has been added with this MNOPQ, this non-homologous chromosome. So this is known as simple translocation. Now simple translocation is very rare in nature. And why it is rare in nature? Because you see here the end of this non-homologous chromosome. Normally end of the chromosome contain telomeric regions, right? It contains telomeric regions, protective regions, which prevent the chromosome from, it prevents the telomeric regions, actually prevent the chromosome segments to get rejoined until there is a break. Unless there is a break in the telomeric region, it will not join. So it is very rare condition where you can see a small segment of a chromosome is attaching to a to the end of a non-homologous chromosome. So this is very rare in nature, and this type of translocation can be achieved by only just a single break in one chromosome only. So it is very rarely case. Simple translocation is not found mainly. Okay, so this is the simple translocation. Let us move to the next one, the shift translocation. Shift translocation. In shift translocation, what happens, the interstitial segment, or you can say the intercalary region of the chromosome, is broken off and inserted within the breaks in another non-homologous chromosome. So in shift translocation, what happened, the inner segment of one chromosome, here we can see BC is the interstitial segment or intercalary region of a chromosome, is breaking off, and this segment is reuniting, it is inserting within the break of another non-homologous chromosome. So this is another non-homologous chromosome, and this segment is going to be inserted here. So 3 breaks is occurring, 2 breaks on one chromosome where the fragment is going to be shifted, and 1 break is occurring on another non-homologous chromosome where that broken fragment has to be inserted. So simple thing, it is called shift translocation, where you can see an inner segment or intercalary region of a chromosome is going to be broken off by 2 breaks, and it is going to be inserted to a non-homologous chromosome within the break. Okay, so the other non-homologous chromosome also have a break inside, and there that intercalary segment of the other non-homologous chromosome is going to be inserted within the break of another non-homologous chromosome. So here you can see that region has been fulfilled by this BC segment from the previous non-homologous chromosome. So this is called shift translocation. That means the broken segment is going to be inserted inside of region of non-homologous chromosome. So 3 breaks has to be done for shift translocation. 2 breaks right here, and 1 break has to be occur on a non-homologous chromosome where the broken segment has to be inserted. Next type of translocation is called reciprocal translocation. Normally reciprocal translocation is actually the exchange of parts between the non-homologous chromosomes. So here you can see AB from ABCDEF chromosome and MN segment of MNOPQ. These 2 segments are going to be exchanged between these non-homologous chromosome. So it is the exchange of parts between the non-homologous chromosome, and this type of reciprocal translocation occur most frequent. One of the example is reciprocal translocation between chromosome number 9 and between chromosome number 22. Okay, and this type of translocation leads to serious condition, and normally this type of translocation is induced or produced by single break in each of the 2 non-homologous chromosomes. So 1 break occur in this chromosome, another break occur in this chromosome, and they will exchange that segments. Okay, you can see here the two segments has been exchanged. Now reciprocal translocation are of 2 types. Okay, there are 2 types of reciprocal translocation which we will see. One of the name is called homozygous reciprocal translocation, and another one is called heterozygous reciprocal translocation. Now what is homozygous reciprocal translocation and what is heterozygous reciprocal translocation? Let us see. So okay, so here in this image you see a homozygous reciprocal translocation and a heterozygous reciprocal translocation. So what does it means? These are the normal chromosomes. Now chromosomes occur in pair, we all know. right? So in homozygous reciprocal translocation, just focus on this image, respect to this image. So in homozygous reciprocal translocation, both the homologous chromosomes exchange their parts with two homologue of another pair. So these two are non-homologous. This is a homologous pair of chromosome 1, 2, one we get from father, one we get from mother. This is another homologous pair. So these two are non-homologous. They are non-homologous, but these two are homologous. Now when both the homologous chromosomes from that homologous pair, when both the homologous chromosomes exchange their parts, exchange their segment with the two homologue of another pair, that is called as homozygous reciprocal translocation. It simply means you see here that the segment 3 and 4 of this homologous pair, the segment 3 and 4 of this homologous pair, they causes a break in these two chromosomes. Break occurs, I am showing you in green now for you to understand. So two breaks is occurring on these two chromosomes of this homologous pair, and they are going to exchange with this parts. Okay, so here also break is occurring and they are exchanging their segments. Okay, and thus we get this formation. So you can see 1 2 3 4, this is the arrangement of one homologous pair, and this is another homologous chromosome, another homologous pair of chromosomes 6 7 8 9. So when homozygous reciprocal translocation occurs, you see 1 2 8 9. Where does 1 2 8 9, where does the 8 9 comes from the previous homologous pair of chromosomes. So the 8 9, they, so this 8 9, this so this 8 9 region, break has been occurred in this region. Break also occurred in this homologous pair of chromosome, and they exchange their segments with both of the chromosomes of that homologous pair. So when homologous pairs of chromosomes are involved, that is called homozygous reciprocal translocation. But if one of the chromosomes from the homologous pair of chromosomes are involved in reciprocal translocation, that will be called as heterozygous reciprocal translocation. So here both the chromosomes of the homologous pair of chromosomes are involved in reciprocal translocation. That's why it is called homozygous reciprocal translocation. Let us see the heterozygous reciprocal translocation. So just look at this image and this image. Okay, so in heterozygous reciprocal translocation, only one chromosome is involved. Only one chromosome is involved from the pair of chromosomes, from the homologous pair of chromosomes, to be involved in translocation process. The other chromosome from that homologous pair is normal. So in heterozygous reciprocal translocation, only one member of each of the two homologous pairs, they will exchange their segments, right? I think I have able to understand this topic. Okay, clarify this topic. So again I am repeating, in homozygous reciprocal translocation, both the chromosome from the homologous pair of chromosomes are exchanging their segments. But in heterozygous reciprocal translocation, only one chromosome from the homologous pair of chromosomes are involved in exchanging their segments. That is called heterozygous reciprocal translocation. Okay. The last type of translocation is called multiple translocation. Well, figure has not been given here, the diagram has not been given. In multiple translocation, more than two pairs of non-homologous chromosomes are involved in exchanging their parts. So in multiple translocation, more than two pairs of non-homologous chromosomes are involved in exchange of their segments. That's like we have seen two pairs of chromosomes are involved in translocation called reciprocal. If another pair is involved, then we will call them as multiple translocation. Okay, so let's move to the next part, which is important for the translocation process. We will focus on homozygous reciprocal translocation. Now this homozygous reciprocal translocation that we have seen just now, this type of translocation cannot be identified cytologically. Why? Because they form regular bivalent. They form regular bivalent structure at pachytene stage during meiosis. Well, bivalent, sometimes it is called as tetrad. It is the association of pair of homologous chromosomes which physically held together by one DNA crossover. So in homozygous reciprocal translocation, you cannot able to identify them cytologically. The help of microscope, by proper staining of this chromosome and identify in microscope, it cannot be identified properly, because this type of translocation form bivalent structure. Bivalent are actually referring to the pair of homologous chromosomes at the pachytene stage during meiosis. But we cannot able to identify cytologically this homozygous reciprocal translocation, but it will influence the phenotypic features, because the position of the genes which was present in these regions, they have been transferred to a different region, right? They have been transferred to a different region. So the effect of the genes will be influenced. So phenotypically we can able to observe the homozygous reciprocal translocation, and this phenomenon is called position effect, because the position of the gene which was present on one homologous pair of chromosome has been moved to a different non-homologous chromosome pair. So obviously the effect of the genes will be there. Some effect, some adverse effect will be there, will be present on that gene, which will influence their phenotype, because phenotype means the appearance of character, and the gene express obviously some enzymes, obviously some proteins. Some expression of that genes will be affected. It may be adversely affected, right? So what is position effect? Simply, it is the effect of expression of a gene when the location of the gene within the chromosome is changed due to the translocation process. Like I have said, between these 3 and 4, suppose some important gene was present in both the chromosomes, both the homologous chromosome, but after homozygous reciprocal translocation, it has been shifted to this chromosome, okay? It has been shifted to this chromosome. So it is now the gene has been shifted to a new position, okay, and the expression of the genes can be observed. Maybe that expression of the genes can be minimized, okay. Like for example, um, uh, if the genes are placed close with the heterochromatin region, then the expression of the gene will be low. Heterochromatin region are those region of the chromosome which are tightly coiled condensed region of chromatin. Heterochromatin regions are the condensed regions of the chromosome. They are the inactive regions of the chromosome, better you can say inactive regions of the chromosome. Okay, I'm trying to show you in a Let us see the white page. No white page is there. Okay, I have to get a white page here. Okay, I get it, the white page, I get it here. Okay, so normally chromatin or the chromosomes that we call, there are two regions called euchromatin and heterochromatin. Let me change the color. So two types of chromosomes are regions are there, euchromatin and heterochromatin. First, let me discuss about the heterochromatin. Heterochromatin are the inactive regions of the chromosomes. Heterochromatin are actually the inactive regions of the chromosomes. I think you have studied in your class 12. Now, why they are inactive? Because in heterochromatin regions, the chromatin fibers which makes your chromosomes are highly coiled. Heterochromatins are highly coiled regions. Highly coiled regions of chromatin. And as they are highly coiled regions of chromatin, so no expression of the genes occur. Well, chromatin is composed of your DNA and histone proteins. Chromatin are those regions of DNA which is made up of histone, which are made up of DNA and histone proteins. So normally when we say chromatin, it is composed of DNA. It is composed of DNA with histone protein. Histone protein are of many types like histone H1, histone H2A, histone H2B, histone H3, histone H4. These histone H2A, H2B, H3, H4 together makes histone octamer. Together makes histone octamer. And this histone octamer wraps the DNA. It interacts with the DNA to coil the DNA, what we call them as nucleosome. So about 146 base pair of DNA wrap around this histone octamer. So suppose this is histone octamer made up of 2 molecules of H2A, 2 molecules of H2B, 2 molecules of H3 and 2 molecules of H4. They coil this DNA, 146 base pair of DNA is coiled. Suppose this is your DNA and this is your histone octamer. 146 base pair of DNA coiled by the histone octamer to make a nucleosome. Now further more coiling occurs when we will talk about the chromosome arrangement, how chromosomes are getting arranged, we will see later on. So in this way they form coiling and form condensed chromatin region called heterochromatin. Now during cell division, all the chromatin fibers are condensed to form your chromosome, because at that time no DNA replication will be done, no transcription, no translation will be occurring. The only aim during cell division is equally distribution of the chromosomes to the opposite pole. So that's why the chromosomes are highly coiled heterochromatin regions. But before cell division, we need to replicate our DNA, we need to transcribe our DNA, we need to transcribe, that means we have to do transcription of our DNA to make RNA by the help of RNA polymerase enzyme. So what we will do, we have to loosely coil these regions. So that loosely coiled regions are called as euchromatin. Now think, if the gene, the essential part of the DNA which codes for a protein or enzyme, if the gene is placed right next to the heterochromatin region, which is permanent, suppose the centromere, like for example, the centromeric region which is found in the chromosome are fully heterochromatic. That means they never uncoil, fully inactivated. There no genes are present. So if the genes are placed to the close to the heterochromatin region, what will happen? Heterochromatin region does not express. So thus the effect, the expression of the gene will be hampered, and it shows a diverse phenotype, right? Now this is a result of the gene being silenced. The gene becomes silenced, it will very lowly they will express the gene in the heterochromatic region. Okay, because at that region, heterochromatic region, the DNA polymerase will not come, all the enzymes which are essential for the replication process will not come if it is a fully heterochromatic region. And if by unfortunately if the gene is placed on that fully heterochromatic region, that means a constitutive heterochromatic region. If it is a facultative heterochromatin, then it's okay. At a time it will at a particular time it has to unwind for transcription, for replication of the genes, right? So the expression of the gene will be hampered if the genes are placed in the heterochromatin region, and thus reciprocal translocation, the homozygous reciprocal translocation, we cannot able to see them cytologically because they form regular bivalent. The homologous chromosomes are exchanging their parts during crossing over, but as the position of the genes has been changed to a different location, they will show some different phenotype, and that what we call them as position effect. Okay, so this is what I want to talk you about. This is what I want to say. What happens in case of heterozygous reciprocal translocation? Now this is an interesting thing that occurs when heterozygous reciprocal translocation occurs, because in heterozygous reciprocal translocation only one chromosome from the homologous pair of chromosomes are exchanging their segments. So the two normal and two interchanged, that means translocated chromosomes, during pachytene stage of meiosis, that means during the prophase, particularly at the pachytene stage of meiosis, the two normal pairs of chromosomes, sorry, this is the normal, okay, again this is the normal one and this is the abnormal one, no, that means translocated one. So in a reciprocal translocation heterozygote, the two normal and two translocated chromosomes pair, they form a cross shaped configuration at the pachytene stage of meiosis, whereas the normal chromosomes form a bivalent, right? So in reciprocal translocation heterozygote, the two normal and two interchanged, that means translocated chromosomes, they pair together to form a cross shaped like configuration at the pachytene stage of meiosis, whereas the two normal chromosomes form a bivalent like structure. Bivalent are the normal chromosomes which actually refer to the homologous pair of chromosomes. Now the occurrence of crossing over and chiasmata formation. Chiasmata, you know, they are the X-shaped points of attachment between two non-sister chromatids of a homologous pair of chromosome, and chiasmata is forming as a result of crossing over. So the occurrence of crossing over and chiasmata formation in each arm of the bivalent results in the formation of a ring-like structure or a circle of 4 chromosomes at the diakinesis stage and also it is observed at the metaphase stage of your first meiotic division. So when crossing over occurs, it simply means that when crossing over occurs in between the two normal and two interchanged, that means translocated chromosomes, you will see in the diagnosis stage and at the metaphase stage you will see a unique pattern, a ring or a circle like structure, mainly composed of 4 chromosomes, because they are not actually aligning themselves properly, and the ring structure may be like twisted ring or open ring. Twisted ring, it looks like just like a number 8, you will observe them like just like a number 8, or a ring shape configuration can be observed when the two normal and two interchange chromosomes they pair together. Let us see what happens when this type of configurations are observed actually. So again I am repeating the part that has been little bit ago I have mentioned. It means to say what I have talked about in case of reciprocal translocation heterozygote, that reciprocal translocation heterozygote produce both translocated chromosome and normal chromosomes, and they will exhibit both cytological and genetic effects. That means you can observe them cytologically when you want. In case of reciprocal translocation heterozygote, you can observe this chromosome arrangement cytologically, and genetic effects can also be observed because the position of the genes has been changed and we get that position effect. So what type of cytological thing we will able to observe? Translocation heterozygotes are marked by considerable degree of meiotic irregularity. So during meiosis, in case of translocation heterozygotes, you see that they will exhibit some degree of meiotic irregularity. That means regular meiosis will not be observed. In order to affect pairing of all homologous segments, peculiar and characteristic formation will occur during their synapsis period. Synapsis is the point of crossing over where they align themselves properly. So during that time, as they are of reciprocal translocation heterozygote, there will be a peculiar characteristic formation arrangement of the chromosomes occur during the synapsis stage. Typically, a cross-shape configuration will be seen. In our microscope, you will see a cross-shape configuration during the prophase 1, especially at the packaging stage of prophase 1 in meiosis 1. And this structure, when it will open during the metaphase, you will see it will look like either a ring-like structure or a figure of 8-like structure, both comprising of 4 chromosomes. So when that cross-shape configuration is opened at prophase 1, then comes to metaphase, that structure will convert into a ring-like structure or a figure of 8, both comprising of 4 chromosomes. So let us move on. That what type of configuration we will see. Okay, this type of configuration we will see. So the first thing that I want to show you during reciprocal heterozygous reciprocal translocation, right? So see the normal chromosome. These are the standard chromosomes, right? These are the standard chromosomes. Break occurs. Obviously, for heterozygous reciprocal translocation, one break has to be done in each of the homologous pair of chromosome, and they have exchanged their parts. So now it becomes a reciprocal heterozygous translocation. Now during their synapsis stage, which occurs during the prophase of meiosis 1 of cell cycle, you see a cross shape configuration here. Sorry. you see a cross shape configuration here, or better to say plus shape configuration, that occurs during your prophase 1 of meiosis. And when this cross structure opens during metaphase stage, it has to be opened, it has to be, because the chromosomes at the end of the time, the main aim is to separation of the chromosomes equally to distribute among the daughter cells. So when this cross shaped structure opens, it forms a peculiar like ring like structure or a figure of 8 like structure. So the figure 8 like structure is called as alternate disjunction. Well, disjunction, as you know the name, disjunction, as you know the name, disjunction means failure of the chromosomes properly to migrate to the opposite poles during cell division. So you see a peculiar 8 like configuration. In this case, you see that both normal chromosomes move to the one pole and the translocated chromosomes are moving to the opposite pole at anaphase 1. So when this type of configuration, when this type of arrangement of chromosomes are observed during metaphase and anaphase, you see that the normal chromosomes are moving to one pole. See, 1, 2, it is a fully normal chromosome. 3, 4, it is also a normal chromosome. They are moving to one pole, so the daughter cell will receive normal chromosomes, while the translocated chromosome, that is 1, 4, because here there was 2, it has been shifted to another non-homologous chromosome. So 1, 4 and 2, 3. So the translocated chromosomes are moving to the opposite pole. So all the gametes will receive full gene complement and they will be fully viable, because all not the gene segments are not getting deleted or duplicated. All the gametes are receiving same gene complement. Okay, they are receiving full gene complement. Obviously one of the daughter cell is receiving the normal chromosomes here, and the other daughter cell is getting the translocated chromosomes. And we know that if the gene the gene's place is position is shifted to a different position, so position effect will occur, expression of the genes will be affected, that will occur, but the gamete will be viable. Okay, it will be active. Okay, the gamete will have the capability to produce a living being. Okay, to generate a zygote by fusion of the gametes. So the gamete receive full gene complement, they are fully viable. Only the expression of the genes will be affected because of position effect. So in case of alternate disjunction, both normal chromosomes are moving to the one pole and translocated chromosomes are moving to the opposite pole during anaphase 1. And therefore all the gametes are viable in this case, and they receive full gene complement and they are fully viable. Only the problem will be that the daughter cell, the gamete which is receiving this translocated chromosome, the expression of the genes may be hampered because of position effect, because the position of the gene is getting hampered. No? Suppose if the gene is placed on a heterochromatin region, then expression of the genes will be silenced, it will be inactive. Okay. The next type of segregation, the next type of arrangement of the chromosomes is called adjacent type 1 segregation. So what happened in adjacent type 1 segregation? Let us see. This is adjacent type 1 segregation, or you can say adjacent type 1 disjunction. So in adjacent type segregation, what happened? This type of adjacent type segregation occur as a result of each translocated chromosome and normal chromosome move to the opposite poles. So again I repeating here what happened. Unlike the above alternate segregation where we have seen the normal chromosomes are moving to one pole, the translocated chromosomes are moving to the opposite pole, so all the gametes are viable. But in adjacent type segregation, the each of the translocated chromosome and normal chromosome are moving to the opposite poles. Each translocated chromosome and normal chromosome are moving to the opposite poles, and that's why during this type of adjacent segregation, or better to say adjacent disjunction, there are two types of adjacent disjunction. You will see adjacent type 1 and adjacent type 2. So in each of these adjacent disjunction, or you can say segregation, you will see duplications, you will see deletions in the gametes. There will be presence of the duplicated chromosome segments, deleted chromosome segments in the gametes. So the gametes may become non-viable, means inactive. So let us see in case of adjacent type 1 disjunction. It is an open ring configuration. As you can see, the chromosomes has been arranged just like a ring like structure. And what more we can see that in this case, one normal and one translocated chromosomes reach to both of the opposite poles, right? So you can see one normal chromosome here. I am changing the color so you can able to identify it very clearly. So one normal chromosome, one translocated chromosome moving to one pole. Here also I am changing the color for distinguishing. Okay, this is one normal chromosome, this is one translocated chromosome moving to the other pole. So in adjacent type 1 disjunction, or you can say segregation, it is an open ring configuration structure where you can see one normal chromosome and one translocated chromosome is moving to the opposite poles, and this will leads to what? This will lead to duplication, this will leads to deletion of the chromosome segment. The gamete will receive either a duplicated segment or a deleted segment. Let us see in this case. Okay, so suppose in this case the gamete is receiving here what? The gamete is receiving 1 2, which is a normal, and it is receiving 2 3. That means the segment 4 is missing. So the gamete which forms here, has a deleted region of 4. So there is a missing of 4 segments. So the 4th segment is missing. And here also the region 2 is missing. So this gamete is receiving 1 4, okay, and 3 4. So deleted 2 segment. Second segment is missing. At the same time, duplication also has been observed. The 4th segment has been duplicated in this gamete. The gamete receives an extra 4th segment. Here the gamete has received an extra 2nd segment. So as I have said that in adjacent type segregation, you will get in this case all the gametes may be not, it may be non-viable because there is a more chance of duplication and deletion. The gametes will receive either a duplicated segment or a deleted segment. So this was about adjacent 1 segregation. Let us see the adjacent type 2 segregation, which is located right here. So this is your adjacent type 2 segregation. This one. Don't look this one. This is adjacent type 1. So in adjacent type 2 segregation, it is rarely occur. This type of adjacent type 2 segregation rarely occur. This type of disjunction rarely occur because here we see two homologous centromeres. So you can see the centromere right here. I'm changing the color. So you can see the centromere right here, right? So the two homologous centromeres, one normal and one translocated, moving to the one pole, and the other two homologous having homologous centromeres moving to the opposite pole. Here the centromere has not been shown. Here the centromere has not been shown. So let's suppose the centromere is this. Okay, I am to remove all this image. So this is a centromere, suppose. So in this case, what we see? In this case, we see that this type of adjacent type 2 segregation occurs rarely, and here we can see the two homologous okay, I have mistakenly I have drawn the centromere in wrong position, so it will be here. Actually it will be located right here. Yeah, this will be the position. No, I have done again wrong. Sorry for that. I am extremely sorry for that, for this thing. The previous one was right. Homologous centromere means, you know what you mean, you know what I mean to say here. So here we can see in adjacent type 2 segregation, it is also an open ring configuration where the two homologous centromere, we can see here, these are two homologous centromere. This is the homologous centromere to this one, this centromere is homologous to this one. So the two homologous centromere having one normal chromosome and one translocated chromosome moving to the opposite poles. So let me try to explain this. So you can see this, see this one. Okay, see this one, what it is saying here. See the centromere that I have drawn here, that I have drawn in this side. Okay, I have said that in adjacent type 2 segregation, the two homologous centromere, one having normal and one translocated. So these are the homologous centromere, because within the 1 and 2 segment there is the centromere region, and here also there is a centromere region. So they are homologous centromere of both sides. But when they are moving to the opposite, when they are moving to the same pole, one of the chromosome is normal and the other chromosome is translocated, although they have this homologous centromere. So the homologous centromere is moving to the opposite, is moving to the one pole, and the other two homologous centromere, is moving to the opposite pole. In this sense, you can call them as adjacent type 2 segregation. But the gametes are receiving one normal chromosome and one translocated chromosome. Just like adjacent type 1 segregation, here also the gametes are receiving one normal chromosome and one translocated chromosome. This is one normal chromosome that the gamete is going to receive, and this is one translocated chromosome. This is one normal chromosome and this is one translocated chromosome that the gamete are going to be received. But here the peculiar thing that is occurring is the distribution of the homologous centromere. The homologous centromere is going to be moved to the same pole, not the homologous chromosomes. Okay, only the homologous centromere is moving to the same pole. This type of segregation occurs very rarely. It is a very rare case because it is difficult for the homologous centromere to go to the same pole. See, in case of adjacent type 1 segregation, in adjacent type 1 segregation, they have again missed to draw the centromere here. So you see adjacent type 1 segregation here, okay. So in adjacent type 1 segregation, what we can see, they are moving to the opposite poles, okay, they are moving to the opposite poles, good. But the homologous centromeres is not moving to the same pole. Both are different centromere, okay. This is a centromere from the 1 and 2 segment of a chromosome. This is a centromere of the 3 and 2 segment of the chromosome. Here also, this is the centromere of 1 and 4, and this is the centromere of 4 and 3. So here no homologous centromeres are moving to the same pole. Here only what we can see, here we can see only the normal chromosome and translocated chromosomes are moving to the opposite poles. But in adjacent type 2 segregation, obviously just like adjacent type 1 segregation, one normal chromosome and one translocated chromosome is moving to the opposite pole, okay, that's good. But here the interesting thing is the centromere. The homologous centromere is going to be moving to the same pole. The homologous centromere is going to be moving to the same pole. So this homologous centromere is moving to the same pole. This homologous centromere is moving to the same pole. And it is very difficult for the homologous centromere to go to the same pole. So it is a very, very rare case, adjacent type 2 segregation. So this was all about the different type of configurations that we going to be observed when heterozygous reciprocal translocation occurs, and when they go for the crossing over, they form this type of figure 8 like configuration, which is called as alternate disjunction. They've also form adjacent type 1 and adjacent type 2 like configurations as well. Now, what is the significance of this type of translocation? What is the significance of this type of translocation? What is the significance? Let us see. The significance of the translocation is that translocation may cause change in the morphology or appearance of the chromosome by centric fusion between the two acrocentric chromosomes. Let us see the acrocentric chromosome. So no, here it has not been shown, okay, here it has been shown. So again I repeat, so translocation may cause change in the morphology, that means change in the structure, and it causes change in the appearance of the chromosome by centric fusion between two acrocentric chromosomes, and the two acrocentric chromosome segments join together to form a metacentric or sub-metacentric chromosome. This is called Robertsonian translocation, which leads to change in the number of chromosomes. So it simply means that two acrocentric chromosomes. What are acrocentric chromosomes? Acrocentric chromosomes are those chromosomes which have a very short arm called P arm and a very long arm called Q arm. So they have a very short P arm and a very long Q arm. So if these acrocentric chromosomes undergo reciprocal translocation, what will happen? If these acrocentric chromosomes undergoes translocation, if these acrocentric chromosomes undergo reciprocal translocation by centric fusion means break occur on this region and break occur on this region, and they fuse to form a large metacentric chromosome and a short microchromosome. This large metacentric chromosome, this type of fusion between the acrocentric chromosomes is known as Robertsonian translocation. Now, due to Robertsonian translocation, it causes change in the number of chromosomes. Why? Because the small microchromosome that is occurring here, they eventually may be lost during your cell division during later in the process. Okay, Robertsonian translocation mostly can occur in 5 acrocentric chromosomes. Okay, so there are 5 acrocentric chromosomes which may involve your Robertsonian translocation, and those acrocentric chromosomes in human are chromosome number 5, chromosome number, sorry, not 5, sorry, the acrocentric chromosomes, the 5 acrocentric chromosomes which can undergo Robertsonian translocation are chromosome number 13, chromosome number 14, chromosome number 15, chromosome number 21, and chromosome number 22. These are the 5 acrocentric chromosomes. That means these chromosomes have a short p arm and a long q arm, and they may undergo this type of Robertsonian translocation. They may fuse together, they may cause reciprocal translocation to form a large metacentric chromosome and a short microchromosome. And this type of translocation have a considerable evolution importance also, because it has been observed that humans have 48 chromosomes, humans have 46 chromosomes, whereas the great apes like chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans have 48 chromosomes, right? So if you see the arrangement of the chromosomes, the karyotype analysis of the chromosomes, the great apes like chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans have 48 chromosomes, while humans have 46 chromosomes. The cytogeneticist believe that humans have evolved from this common human ape ancestor, what we call them as Homo sapiens, right? And why humans have evolved in this way? Genetically, they have said that there must be some reciprocal translocation, or you can say centromeric fusion between 2 acrocentric chromosomes found within the great apes to form a large chromosome. And that's why the chromosome number has been reduced. The great apes have 48 chromosomes. Within the 48 chromosomes, there must be some acrocentric chromosome. Cytogeneticists believe that maybe 2 of the acrocentric chromosomes of these great apes, I am not talking about chimpanzees, gorillas, or orangutans. Great apes are of many types, like the Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, then Australopithecus, right? The Java man, all the ancient scientific names of the apes that we know, and one of them are Homo sapiens, right? So the humans have been evolved from the apes as a result of Robertsonian translocation. Maybe 2 acrocentric chromosome, they fuse to form a large metacentric chromosome to evolve into human beings. They are suspecting actually. Okay. And the next thing is that translocation can cause a serious human disease as well. Various congenital disease may occur, like this, the Philadelphia chromosome. It means to say that if reciprocal translocation occurs between chromosome number 9 and between chromosome number 22 unequally, it will result in Philadelphia chromosome. Let me get a white region. So it means to say that translocation between chromosome number 9 and chromosome number 22 leads to the formation of Philadelphia chromosome. Now Philadelphia is a region name of a place where this chromosome was actually discovered, this type of chromosome. Normally, if I show you the picture of chromosome number 9. If I show you the picture of chromosome number 9, suppose this is the chromosome number 9 and this is your chromosome number 22. I am showing you in green. This is chromosome number 22. This is chromosome number 22. Oh, I am sorry. Chromosome number 22 is acrocentric. Chromosome number 22 is acrocentric, right? Because I have said. So within the chromosome number 9, there is a gene. There is a gene called CABL gene. Okay, there is a gene called CABL gene. Again, I have to erase this. Why I have to erase this? Because I have to show you the long arm. So within this chromosome number 9, there is a gene called CABL gene. Suppose at this region of this long arm of chromosome, there is a gene called CABL gene. CABL, if I want to say the full form of CABL gene, ABL stands for Abelson murine leukemia viral oncogene homolog 1. So much large name. Then full form of ABL is Abelson murine, refers to the mice, leukemia viral oncogene. Now where there is onco name mentioned, that means it will cause you cancer. Oncogene homolog 1. So much long name. Actually, this CABL gene is used to refer to the version of the gene which is found within the mammalian genome. Okay. Normally, this CABL gene is a proto-oncogene. This gene is actually a proto-oncogene. That means due to the activity of this ABL gene, ABL protein will be generated and that will lead to carcinogenic. So ABL gene is a proto-oncogene which is negatively regulated. This gene is regulated by the SH3 domain. So there is a domain, there is an important region in this proto-oncogene. There is an important region in this proto-oncogene and that region is your SH3 domain. SH3 domain. Now if this SH3 domain is deleted due to deletion, this proto-oncogene will become an oncogene. Will have that pathogenicity now. So why I am talking about CABL gene? This CABL gene unfortunately has been translocated to a region of chromosome number 22. Right? So this CABL gene translocated into the region of chromosome number 22. Now within the chromosome number 22 there is another region called BCR. Within the chromosome number 22 there is another region, sorry, I have forgot to draw. Within the chromosome number 22 there is another region called BCR. I have to remove this one. So I think you have understood this ABL gene part. It will take long time to finish this class. So within this chromosome number 22 there is another gene called as BCR. The full form of BCR is breakpoint cluster region. The full form of BCR is breakpoint cluster region. This BCR region codes for a protein which has a serine threonine kinase activity. So this BCR region will code for a protein which has a kinase activity, especially for the serine and threonine. Sorry for that, I have erased all of them. So this BCR gene which is found on chromosome number 22, this BCR gene which is found on chromosome number 22 have a serine threonine kinase activity. That means it codes for a kinase protein, it codes for a kinase enzyme which will phosphorylate those amino acids which has serine or threonine and activate that protein. So why I am talking about of this BCR and ABL gene found on chromosome number 9 and 22? Why I am talking about the chromosome number 9 and 22? Because reciprocal translocation occur between the chromosome number 9 and 22 within these regions, within this CABL and BCR regions. So when the CABL gene is moved, shifted to this region and form BCR ABL gene product, it cause a serious abnormal protein known as BCR ABL product. The name of the protein is not been mentioned here, but it will cause you a disease which what we called as CML or chronic myelogenous leukemia. Chronic myelogenous leukemia. Now what does it mean? How you can understand to the normal people? Chronic myelogenous leukemia is a type of what? Blood cancer. So it is a blood cancer actually. So simple translocation can lead to blood cancer between chromosome number 9 and 22. This type of blood cancer will be occurring in your bone marrow. As you can see, leukemia, the leukocytes will be getting affected. Too much abnormal production of leukocytes will be done, the white blood cells. Okay. So I think you have understood this part, that when CABL gene from chromosome number 9 is shifted to the chromosome number 22 having the BCR region, breakpoint cluster region, it forms a BCR-ABL gene which will produce an abnormal protein which leads to chronic myelogenous leukemia. Similar type of translocation also occur between chromosome number 8 with chromosome number 14, 22 and 2. So when translocation occurs between chromosome number 8 with chromosome number 14, 22 or 2, what will happen? Let us see translocation between chromosome number 8 and chromosome number 14. Let us see translocation between chromosome number 8 and chromosome number 14. So when translocation occurs between chromosome number 8 and 14, what happens? In this type of translocation, chromosome number 8 break occurred near another proto-oncogene known as CMYC. So there is a gene found within the long arm of chromosome number 8 and the name of the gene is your CMYC. It will be M for Mumbai, CMYC. This CMYC is actually a family of regulatory genes, and it is also a proto-oncogenes that code for transcription factors. This CMYC gene is a proto-oncogene, and this gene code for it also codes for transcription factors. All the transcription factors in your molecular biology class you will learn during, if eukaryotic transcription is given, you will see that the transcription factors which are needed for initiation, elongation of transcription process, those transcription factors are actually coded by the CMYC gene. It is a regulatory gene, and also it is a proto-oncogene. And let us see this chromosome number 8, the CMYC gene is going to be shifted to the region of chromosome number 14, where in which region of chromosome number 14 the CMYC gene is going to be shifted? In this region where it codes for the heavy chain genes of antibody. You can say ABH gene. That means within the chromosome number 14 or 22 or chromosome number 2, they have a ABH gene region. Now ABH gene region codes for the heavy chain of your antibody, or you can say immunoglobulins. Now I think you know about the structure of immunoglobulins, that immunoglobulins or antibody consist of 2 heavy chains and 2 light chains joined by the glycosidic bonds, not glycosidic, they join disulfide bonds with the help of disulfide bond. That disulfide bond can only occur between the cysteine amino acid residues. So if the green image that I have drawn, if these are the heavy chains, these heavy chains must be coded by some gene, because the immunoglobulins or antibodies are actually a protein, a glycoprotein. So the heavy chains are synthesized by this ABH gene found within the chromosome number 14. So when the CMYC gene is translocated to this region, it forms abnormal protein, and it causes the CMYC gene to convert from proto-oncogene to become a oncogene, and this exchange leads to the formation of a serious chronic congenital disease called BL. The full form of BL is Burkitt's lymphoma. The full form of BL is your Burkitt's lymphoma. In simple words, Burkitt lymphoma is the cancer that starts in your immune cells, like your B cells. The B cells are getting cancerous. B cells are also called bone marrow cells, which produce your antibody, right? They produce your antibody. So the B cells are going to be malignant, and it is associated with impaired immunity. That means your immune system becomes damaged totally, just like HIV do. They inactivate your T helper cells and makes your immune system damaged. You are becoming susceptible to a simple cold infection and you may get die. Just like that, Burkitt's lymphoma is like that. They are causing decreased immunity due to the immune cells are getting affected here. Okay, so these are the some serious examples that what happens during your translocation process. I hope you have understood this lecture. Now it becomes too much of time today. So if you have some queries regarding this lecture, you can ask in the WhatsApp group. In the next lecture, karyotype analysis will be done. Karyotype analysis is a very large chapter actually, but what are the things that has been provided here in the syllabus, that much I will study, because an entire karyotype analysis chapter means a book has to be followed. So I will just select the topics. I think the banding patterns has been given only, the G banding, Q banding, how through the banding patterns we make karyotype analysis. That has been given in your syllabus. Maybe I will see and then I will try to explain them. So okay, thank you for the listening to this lecture.